prayer because I know my dad is watching. Whoops, you heard me say that live. I always say a prayer before we go live because that way I know that my dad is looking down and he is watching. And I wish if my dad was still alive, I'd get Bill Muckler and my dad on a broadcast together because they're both Republicans. They were both born in 1935, so they have a life of being a conservative patriot in this country. My dad served in the Marine Reserve, didn't actually make it into the full Marines, but did his best to try to help. But Boogie with the Boom, Morning Caffeine, the Red Friday edition. Everybody's wearing red. Randy Rhodes, the co-host, is with me, and in the right-hand corner, our special guest on Fridays for Red Friday and more is Bill Muckler. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Dave. Hey, thanks for having me on, and it's really an honor.
We're the ones that should be honored. I'm sorry, I lost my words there. We're the ones that should be honored that you
time to join. You always ask me what I want to talk about, and that's the one thing I like about this show. You guys let me talk about anything I want to talk about, and I'm wondering, I don't know how that exactly works, but today, obviously I want us to remember everyone deployed. And I'm really kind of concerned about what's happening in the around the globe, you might say. Our country is really much weaker from a foreign relations point of view than it was 4 years ago with Trump. And the Biden industrial complex, or the Biden criminal enterprise, whatever you want to call them, just exudes weakness. And if you remember, former Secretary of Defense, Robert Gates, I think he also was president of Texas A&M, and quite a career. He said the one thing you know about Joe Biden's foreign policies is he's always wrong. And we've seen 3.5 years now of wrong. I mean, it's just total chaos. And, Putin never would have gone into Ukraine, but Biden said, "Well, you can have a small slice of it." Well, given Putin a small slice of Ukraine, a small slice to Putin might be 90%. Then what's happening in Gaza? The Biden and his minions want them to pause. In other words, they want him to cease fire, and the reason they want him to do that is because he's afraid he's going to lose all the Muslim votes from Dearborn, Michigan, and other places like that are protesting against him, rioting against him, and so forth. Everything that the Biden criminal enterprise does is all about how can they stay in power, how can they rake in the dollars. You saw what happened at that big thing they had with the three presidents, how they brought in like 25, 26 million campaign funds. Everything is about trying to promote their brand because they don't really have anything. But I don't know why they're concerned, because they're going to win the election in November. That's a foregone deal. I don't care what they say on the news or what the pundits say. We heard it in 2020 that Trump was going to win. We heard it in 2022 that there's going to be a red wave. None of that materialized because the most important issue in a morally declining America today is sex. And if you can have unprotected, irresponsible sex and you can just get rid of it and murder the baby, everything is good, and that's protecting democracy, and that's where they're going to get the votes. And if they can't get the votes that way, they'll figure out how to stop the counting at 2:00 in the morning, and they'll bring in bundles of pre-printed votes for Biden, just like they did the last time. And if somebody like me says, "Hey, I got some questions about how this election, how the votes were counted, and which votes were counted. Hey, I'm I'm like a criminal, right? And so anyway, I've been doing my ranting. I questioned myself. I challenged myself as to whether I could write a novel. And what I wanted to do is I had a story I wanted to tell. And the story I wanted to tell was, and this started back in 2016. So this is 8 years ago. I actually started on this story. And I said, there's some bad people coming across our border. This was under Obama. And these people are not here to assimilate in America and make America, grow and prosperous and productive. They're here to destroy America. And everybody said, oh, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist. Boy, I heard everything. I said, hey, I think there's people coming across our border that we don't know about. And I think they have terrorist ties. And I think they're going to cause another attack on America. Well, guess what? Christopher Wray today in front of the House committee said, yeah, he wouldn't really admit to it, but yeah, we've got terrorists coming across the border. He wouldn't really say for sure, but that was a message he gave, because he can't say anything about the fact that Biden has screwed this whole thing up. Then that puts Christopher Wray on the hot seat, which is where he ought to be, because he's probably the most ineffective FBI director we've ever had. The most corruptive one was James B. Comey. There's no question about that. And we've put our trust in FBI, the FBI and directors, and it's really been sad that we've fallen for this. And the people want to believe that all these people have great intentions and that they're all in it for making their lives safe and secure. And I just don't see that. I don't believe it. So anyway, I had this idea that after 9/11, I thought, we're going to get another attack. But this whole thing we've got going on with checking people at the airports and the TSA thing, and you can't take anything on the airplane, a bottle of water or anything like that. That's all done. That's over with. They ain't doing that anymore. They've done that once. Now they're moving on to other things. They're not going to try and fly airplanes into buildings again. But what they did is the fanatical Islamists won. They won because what they did is they put America into a state of fear. We were afraid to get on airplanes, and so we allowed our government, to prevent us good citizens from getting on airplanes, because a group of 20 bad guys flew some airplanes into buildings. Now, there was a lot more people behind, fanatics behind the 19 that actually did the flying. There was really supposed to be 20, but I guess one missed the flight. So what I did is I said, hey, what's going to happen is they're going to go after other things to paralyze America like they did before. They'll have other attacks, and they're going to do it, but they're not going to do it right away. Oh, there'll be a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but they're in for the long haul. We're in for what have you done for me today? How much free stuff are you going to give me today? That's all we're interested in. And can we promote our devious sexual programs and behaviors today? That's all we're interested in America right now. I hate to be the person that brings all this up, but it's true. So anyway, I thought if I was going to attack America the way I think the Islamists think, and I tried to think the way they do, I said I would probably do some multiple attacks. And I'd pick out some places where, it'd be very easy to do it, soft targets. So I wrote this book called 6 Soft Targets. And what it is terrorists are financed by some wealthy fanatics that are making a ton of money off of Americans, in the oil market and everything else, in the energy field. And they're funding attacks here in America, sleeper cells here in America that are fortified with terrorists coming across our southern border, landing on our shores in boats, in the middle of the night or early in the morning, coming across from Canada. I got them all. And I got them all before we found out about them because I predicted all this. So what's going to happen is, and now they're talking about, there's a chance that there could be an attack on America. My book is all about having the terrorists planning out 6 attacks on soft targets. Targets that we don't really, the airports are, getting on an airplane, that's more of a hard target. It's tough to get on an airplane. It's tough to get into a judicial building because you have to go through the screening, right? Well, the terrorists don't have any intention of going after that. Why would they? That's hard. They want to go for soft. They want to go for easy. Anything that they can paralyze America with. So that's what's going to happen. So in my novel, there's a couple of vets. I'm just kind of find out that there's going to be an attack from an informer they have over in the Middle East. And they try to alert the government that there's going to be an attack, just like what happened for 9/11. But nobody would listen because they said, you got to tell us the what, where, when, why, and how. And the Islamists ain't telling us the what, where, when, why, and how, are they? So our government will not do anything because they can cover their butts by saying, well, we didn't know the exact date, and we didn't know the exact time, and we didn't know the exact place. So don't come to us, So these 2 vets are trying to get people to understand, hey, there's something bad going to happen to us. Nobody will listen to them. Finally, there's some very bad people higher up in our government say, these guys are on to something and we can use this to our advantage. And so the book has a plot with a lot of subplots and a lot of twists and turns, has a lot of characters. Some are good, some are evil, and they're going after America to destroy Western civilization, which is what Islam is all about. Take us back to the 7th century, year 634. And that's what the novel's all about. So I wrote this and I learned how to write. And I think it's very well written. I hope there's not too many typos in it. And it's got a very Hitchcockian cover. People say, the cover has to have all this stuff on it. And I said, no, I don't want all that stuff on the cover. This is, if we're attacked, it's going to be very dark. It's going to be very stark. It's not going to be anything that's going to be clip art. It's going to be serious shit. And that's why I wrote the book.
Do you worry about, I'm sure you probably don't, but I call the 2020 books the conservative broadcasting Bible. We quote the books all the time. So giving the Islamists a little bit of credit, do you think they might read your book and use the book as a basis for attacks in the future?
I'm sure that they're way ahead of me. Listen, these are very devious people. These are evil people in my mind. In their minds, obviously, they believe in Allah. I personally, and this is another thing I'm really criticized about, I say there is no such thing as Allah. There's only one God, and it ain't Allah. Allah is a name that some deviant pedophile made up when his crazy rants and ravings back in the early 600s. There's their followers are all they're fanatics, and they say, well, there's moderates and we're this and we're that. But if anybody ever really studied the Quran, really got into what they do, I think you'd get a little bit different viewpoint of it.
All right,
they not only want to murder Christians and Jews, they even go after their own people.
Yeah.
Do you choose your covers to your books, or does someone else make suggestions on what your cover should have?
I did this one and with my son, and we came up with a lot of different ideas, and this is the one that ended up being the one that prevailed. And my grandson is a graphic artist, and he's got a program to do this. So he actually did the finishing touches on the cover. And the thing about a book is people don't understand this cover is all one piece, and it has a spine. And the spine has to be the exact width of the number of pages. And the number of pages is based on the thickness of them, is based on the paper stock you use. You can use thin paper or thick paper. Everything has to be very precise. And then when they print it, and when they print the cover separately from the insides of the book, right? Then they have to put that together in the binding process. I don't know if any of our viewers know anything about the printing process. And then they trim everything to exact size. And I wanted to have this is a typical size 6x9 soft cover. I didn't want to do a hard cover for a book like this. I didn't think it should be. I thought it ought to be a soft cover, and this is kind of the most popular size and everything. So added printed 300 pages, 95,000 words.
300 pages. You could probably sit down and read that in I don't know, a few hours.
It depends on how fast you read.
Yep. Well, it sounds interesting.
I'm a slow reader because I grew up in the printing industry, and one of the things I did was proofreading. So whenever I read anything, I'm proofreading it. And I've taken courses in speed reading, and I know how to do that. But I kind of go back to the old build default method of proofreading, So I read every word. That's crazy, but that's what I do.
Well, if I try to speed read a book now and then I could probably speed read your book in maybe, I don't know, an hour. But if I put it down, I couldn't tell you anything about what I read.
Yeah, that's my problem with speed reading too. And I guess I more relish the way the author writes and how they construct their sentences, and do they write more like Hemingway, or they write more like this guy or that guy or this gal or that gal, and so forth. And I'm more into that than just trying to quickly read through a book.
Randy had started to say something. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, and and some people, like myself, when I read a book, I put myself inside the story, like I'm actually experiencing the story. And I always take the lead, right? The handsome hero that gets the girl in the end. But a lot of people, a lot of people read that way. They read what they put themselves in that time frame. And they didn't, and that's how they escape the realities of what's going on around them. They huddle into a nice comfy chair or a recliner, or lay in bed with a blanket and your hot cup of cocoa, and you just delve into the story, and you become part of that. And so at least for a couple hours, you've left this world of all the problems, all the headaches, all the worries, and you're experiencing a whole new world. And a lot of people read that way. So if if your book has that ability to take a person away and place them inside that time capsule, that's the kind of reader you want. It's the person who actually partakes of the narrative of your books.
Maybe we should dress Bill in a red tuxedo on a Friday and have him read the book as the Boogie with the Bull players act it out on the screen.
I'm with Randy. I totally immerse myself in the story and everything. I just it's like I'm now in that world. I know it's a world of make believe. It's a world of fiction, but to me, I visualize it as being real. And
well, you have to, because we're living in a world now, and if I understood you or comments earlier about the upcoming election, I agree with you wholeheartedly that the election's already won. We just haven't read the results yet, and it's not going to be Republicans. It's going to be Democrats. Because the Democrats realize that if Trump gets in, well, one of the many things he's going to start doing right off the bat as getting out the arrest warrants and going after the treasons, okay? And the Democrats are afraid that's what's going to happen. So they have to make sure that he does not get in the Oval Office. And I believe that what they're doing right now is they're going over their numbers. How many people do we need to, fake the votes for, the ballots for, and how are we going to make the great steal once again? But I just lost my train of thought. What I want to say to you about,
all right, so let's give Bill a chance to respond to what do you say, Bill?
Yeah, I think Randy and I are on the same page. We're thinking the same way on this. I hate it. I hate that I think this way, but it's what I see is what they're doing. The Democrats have nothing to run on. And so the Republicans are saying, we got all these issues, we're against crime, we're against an open border, we're against inflation. And all those things resonate great across America until about 2 or 3 weeks before the election. The Democrats all of a sudden will dump in millions and millions of dollars into TV ads about how the evil Republicans are going to steal your democracy and not allow you to have sex changes, not allow you to be have unprotected, irresponsible sex with no they're going to do that, and everybody will think, oh, we got to vote against Trump because this guy is an evil guy, and by that time they may have convicted him of all kinds of stuff. Hey, Monday he's going into a criminal trial. He has to sit there every day, and they're talking about being like 2 months. So he's going to be sitting in a court for 2 months. That's how evil the Biden criminal enterprise is they've actually gone after their opponents, and so they got him on these charges. This Jack Smith, obviously, has no case whatsoever, but he can make the charges and he can get them in front of leftist judges. They'll get Democrat juries. They've already determined what the juries are going to look like. The juries have to be far leftist. They've already determined it. It was on the news today what the jury can be made up of. The whole system is totally rigged. It's rigged against we the people. And we're just putting up with it because we just adore our lovely representatives who we think are leaders who don't represent us and don't lead us. All they want to do is spend our money and spend money we don't even have yet.
Okay, I'm not trying to chase you off, Bill. It's 10:32. I do want you to cover Red Friday before you go.
Well,
tell us all about that. But like I said, I never want you to feel like we're chasing you along, but I don't want you to be.
No, I got to get ready for what I do at 11 o'clock. So, no, on Red Friday, we remember everybody deployed. And I'm really concerned about our young men and women who are defending our country overseas in foreign lands in harm's way. And I just want us to remember them and think about them and don't just dismiss them and think, oh, somebody else will do it, or think, they're not important because they are. And I guess I'm at the point now where I'm thinking, hey, if anybody's on active duty, it doesn't make any difference what branch of the service you're in. Everybody in every rank in every branch of the service is equally important. And they're equally can be put in the harm's way in a moment's notice and shipped to some foreign land overseas and put in harm's way. And I just want us to remember that, well, without them, I don't know where we would be right now.
All right. And, all right, Bill, anything else? You're on at 11 o'clock Monday through Friday. I know that.
And Randy, thanks for don't tell me I got some viewers. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do all this stuff. All I do is I just go on and I just talk, and then I end up I don't get into all the technical stuff. I guess I better start doing that.
Sometimes if you don't pay attention to the numbers, regardless of how huge or how small they are, you're just speaking from the heart, because when you start looking at the numbers, then you start worrying about, are you saying the right thing? And people keep watching, because you might have a show where you got 1 million people watching. Then the next day you got 2 people watching. So I'd have to worry about what I did to upset 999,998 people that watched the day before. You just do it. I mean, I just do it because I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, Dave, I'm going to take your advice. I'm not going to look at any of this stuff. I'm not going to spend any of my time or effort on trying to figure out who's watching. I'll just ask Randy every now and then. How's it
That's
going,
right.
Randy?
There you go.
Randy can tell me, hey, it's up or it's down.
We'll bring you in every Friday, and Randy will give a grand total for the week.
Okay.
I guess that's good.
All right, Bill.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Bill. Always a pleasure.
Have a great weekend.
You too. All right. The Bill Muckler Show, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. here on Facebook. It is also on NextGen, NEXGEN, nextgen.com. He said it's on Restream. It's on censorless.tv as well. Watch it, share it, pay attention to it. Like you said, it's Red Friday. Everybody wears red. We do on Friday. Wear red to support. And remember, everyone deployed. I always say both foreign and domestic, because our military is facing actions here in the good old USA as well as outside the good USA. And with that, we move into segment 2, which is open discussions until Randy has to go. I wanted to say, I read something briefly before I came on, that Putin evidently has taken control of 650,000 acres of Russian farmland that was being handled by a Dutch company. And, I was just going to say, hey, if Putin can do it and get away with it, why isn't Biden pulling back the 350,000 acres that the Chinese have that they're just growing cockroaches on?
Well, it sounds to me like Putin is doing the right thing, and that is nationalizing his country. I can never figure out why a country would allow another country, especially a country that does not like you, to buy large portions of our land for whatever their purposes they're going to use it for. Why would you give up millions of acres of land to your enemy who's going to do with it whatever they want? I can see them buying a dilapidated building and make it into a business office building or something like that, doing some investments in that respect. But they're buying up farmland, they're buying up farms. Bill Gates, he's doing the same thing. He's buying up farmland, he's buying up farms. They are incorporating the farmer into one large farmer. As far as land owned by one person, one corporation, the individual farmers are out the door. It is a way of controlling your people, and for some reason, the Biden administration is allowing China to do that. And the only thing I think of is that the connection that the Chinese have with Hunter and with Joe, as far as the payments that they've been receiving in exchange for political support. So I give kudos to Putin, and I hate to say that. I mean, I was raised that Russia was our national enemy to be afraid of. They're going to be ones who are going to invade our country and nuke us and take us all prisoners. But you know what? He's doing more for his people than what our own president's supposed to be doing for us.
Yep. 100% right.
Putin is preventing the gay lifestyles, the transgenders. He's put his foot down on drugs. He's preventing Muslims and illegal immigrants coming into his country. He's keeping his country safe. The thing with Ukraine is that Ukraine was at one point, part of Mother Russia. Until whatever happened in history, where the country, split up, and
Gorbachev split it up.
Yeah. So he just wants his land back. It's like Alaska, He said he feels that the land deal that America had with Russia back in the day to take control of Alaska was illegal. So he wants Alaska back.
Yeah. What would we have to do if the resident citizens of Alaska decided to secede from the United States of America and go back to Mother Russia?
Well,
or pick like a state in the middle of the country, like Iowa or Wyoming or Montana, a state right in the middle of the country. What if they decided that they did the research, they did the genealogy with you, and they found out that they were originally part of Russia, and they decided they wanted to become part of Russia again?
Well, look at these states where they have the cities are named after Moscow and stuff like that. I can't begin to imagine why you would do it. Now, if I did the research, possibly the reason is that when that town first became legal. I know that there's a term for it. I can't think of the term. But when that town first became a town, okay, and this is a town and recognized by the government, perhaps the majority of the folks who settled there came from Russia or came from England.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why all
that's
these
common. That's common in the States. You have New York, which is, I'm sure, named after York, which is English. You have
correct.
The city that comes to mind is Devonshire, which is over there in England, and there's a section of Boston which is called Devonshire.
Yeah. I mean, did they name their land after where they came from? Even though where they came from was shit, as far as how they're being treated and so forth, it was a way of still feeling some homely kind of connection to where you came from. I mean, it's just like, like I keep seeing about the Amish Mennonites and Dunks and Quakers. They're still living the lifestyle that their foremothers lived when they first came here. It's something that worked for them, and it continues to work for them. Why would you want to change it?
Yeah. This is
but
true.
but you have this idiot that's in the White House, and I was watching William Rayfield's show with you last night, and you guys were talking about the diary, and about the daughter. You guys, I don't know if you saw my comments, but the idea that that's going to come into play for the election, that diary is going to disappear. Okay.
But the diary will disappear necessarily, but that's not going to stop Donald Trump from nailing Biden on a debate stage and just throwing so many questions at him that Biden has a nervous breakdown. And
Biden's never going to go on. Biden's never going to a debate. Biden. If Biden goes on the stage to debate against Trump, that's his death sentence, and I don't think his handler is going to allow him to do that.
Well.
I appreciate your comments yesterday about me having to take that phone call. It's with the VA. A couple of years ago, I actually reached out to him, for some information and about a mortgage and so forth, and knowing that since I don't work, have credit cards or $1 million in loans, I'm not going to qualify for anything. But I was surprised when they called me and said that, we got you qualified for a loan. I said, well, that's cool. Okay, I've been in this house now for 10 years. I love to buy the house I'm in. So how much was I qualified for? And he said $115,000. I said, $115,000? That won't buy me. That might buy me a double wide trailer.
Yeah, or the shed in the backyard.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the fact that I even qualified. But $115,000. Now I did look, okay, and they're double wides on their own land, but they're out in the boonies, and my wife made it quite clear if there's more than 2 trees in the yard, she ain't moving because it's out in the boonies, and she wants nothing to do with the boonies. The only option I have, I actually got 2 options. That is to add my wife in on the mortgage. But she has less credit history than I do. It's kind of weird. The way they determine your credit score is by how much debt you have. How poor are you? How much do you have to pay? And that's how we're going to base that you're credit worthy. So you got $50,000 in credit card debt. Great, we're going to give you a loan, right? And that's just nuts.
It's not so much that it's you have $50,000 in credit debt, but it's how you're paying it back. If you have it, like me, I don't charge more than I can afford to pay each month, so I don't end up with any interest on any of mine. So they're not really looking to do me any favors because they don't make any money off of me. Or if they do, they make a couple of bucks because something happens and I have to split something over 2 months.
Right.
But it's not he who has the most number of cards in their wallet. It's he who has the most number of cards in his or her wallet and owes a ton of money with a ton of interest to everybody. And like you said, they probably do favor in some cases the people who they know aren't going to be able to pay it back.
Yeah. So I said to the guy, I told him how much I pay in rent, right? And I said, if I can pay this for the past 10 years and haven't gotten kicked out yet, why wouldn't I qualify for more? And they said, well, because you don't have enough credit history. And I said, so he's gonna put my wife's name on the mortgage. He's gonna get back to me to tell me what she needs to do as far as increasing her credit rating. The other thing that I had
Well,
going on is that my disability. When I was in the Air Force, I was 19 years old. Uh, uh, it turns out I had a heart condition, and it didn't become apparent until I was in basic training, trying to keep up with the calisthenics. And they realized I had a heart condition and couldn't keep up, so they allowed me to walk instead of running the 3 or 4 or 5 miles I had to that day. They allowed me to sit out on certain calisthenics, so they pushed me through just so I would graduate. I have this documentation now about that disability. So he's thinking that maybe he can make use of that
well,
to.
if it's a service connected injury, then yeah, they should. If you damage your heart being in the service, then
So
they should consider it a service connected injury and compensate you for it. And in some cases, it's not a dishonorable discharge or even a discharge. They just retire you and you stay at.
Well, what happened is that I was in my fourth year and I was supposed to go through gas mask training because there was a military, so we say, action taking place about that time frame, and they might have to activate my unit. So we all had to go through gas mask training, and that's when I guess my family doctor, notified the military, hey, just so you know, I examined Mr. Rhodes and I found this with his heart. Because they came, they said, oh, you cannot do the gas mask training. We're going to give you an honorable discharge and kick your ass out. And that's what they did. So he's going to try. I have to say they're doing the due diligence to try and get me a house. In my later years. If I have to keep renting, I got to keep renting. But I'm trying to think, leaving, when I die, I want to be able to leave something to my wife and to my kids. And if I can, get a house, this late in the game and, leave it to them, that's what my plan is,
Yeah. But like Michael says, if you become the cosigner or you put a family member on as a cosigner, they do become a risk on the loan. But, in the case of, you guys can make the numbers work, then, I think it's something that you do,
Yeah.
And they look, it's weird that, I had no credit rating because I had no credit. I had no plastic when I worked. I paid cash for everything. And that's considered bad credit, but it's not really bad credit. It's just no credit because the key word there is credit.
Yeah. Oh my
They
God.
want to qualify you for as much as they can.
Yeah. My dad, when he was alive, God love him, he had two wallets, right? He had one wallet that was stuffed full of cash, right? Back when cash was king. And he had a second wallet that had those, they're like plastic shields, and they unfold it, right? And it's supposed to be for pictures of your family, so you can brag back your family. But each one, double-sided, had credit cards. She had credit cards for freaking everything.
Yep.
Back in the day when you had the Sears credit card, the Kmart credit card, the Walmart credit card, all those credit cards for all the different stores and so forth. And plus you had the Visas, the MasterCards. And
the Diners Club, the American Express.
He didn't have the debt, fortunate for him, he was in the military 22 years. He came out and had a really good job working for Motorola.
Yep.
The rancher he bought was like $20,000 back in the day.
Yep.
And he had to pay it off in like 10 years because the mortgage was so low. That's the way he lived.
Yep.
So
it's a different age now. People don't. Some people shouldn't have it, and I'm one that should not have plastic because normally I don't take care of things financially, and it's a new lesson of learning how to take care of it. And the game, like I said, is to play to make sure that you don't have interest payments.
Yeah.
But if you have interest payments, then you don't they don't make money off of you. And if you want more credit and they're not making money off of you, it's not likely.
Yeah.
It's
And
not likely
the
to
sad
happen.
thing is that there is a portion, a percentage of our nation who's unfortunately, come from families where there's no father figure, and there's the mother has multiple children to multiple men, and there's no real values being taught, and these are the ones who feel that the white man owes them for this whole slavery thing, and they can go into these stores like Bill Muckler was saying, and just take what they want. They know that the store owner's not going to press charges because what good's it going to do? Because the Democrats are going to get you out of jail. So as long as they steal up to a certain dollar amount and walk out that door, no one's going to touch them. And but if that was a white person or an Asian person doing that, their ass is going to be in jail.
Yeah, if you're a white person and went into a black person's store and you stole whatever, you walked up and said, "I'm allowed to steal up to $1,000 and you can't do anything," they're going to look at you and go, "The hell are you talking about?" And probably pull their rifle out from under the counter, and you're not going to
shoot my ass.
Yeah. But if they walk into your store, they want to be compensated. I absolutely do not like talking about reparations to a person who had a relative 4 or 5 lifetimes ago that was a slave. You had nothing to do with that. You weren't even here then. And to those people who insist that we owe them, I often say the only thing we owe you is a one-way plane ticket if you want to go back to where your relative came from.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're going to live as well as you do here in the United States, where you plan on going back. You're going to end up out, where are you going to charge your 17 Teslas that you have that you can't afford?
Who was that talking about on one of the shows? I was on the Facebook shows. I forget who was talking about it. All these, the push for these Tesla cars. There's not enough charging stations for them spread across our nation. So you're limited to how far or to what part of our nation you can drive to because you're not going to be able to charge that puppy up.
Or the time.
Yeah.
That when you may have access to a charging station, and the only time that you can get in there and charge that puppy is 3:00 in the morning. And if you're not there at 3:05, then the attendant is going to wave in the next car in line and put them in there. And when you show up, then there's 25 cars in line. They're going to tell you got to go sit at the end of the line and work your way back up again.
I wonder how much. I assume a person pays to plug into their charger. I wonder how much it costs to charge up a car.
I can look around at a few places and see if I can get. There are some videos where people have done on YouTube where they talk about that and the total amount of charging, and when you add that to how often they charge the car each month, was much more than what it would cost to have a gas vehicle in some cases. And the amount of mileage that you get based on the car being totally electric tends to be much less than
So it's
the gas. And everything's electric. So if you've got your air conditioner going at full bore, you got your some sort of CD or cassette or even just a radio going. It's night. Your headlights are going. It's gonna burn faster.
Well, they said okay. So I just did a quick Google search here, and it says to do a full charge, it can be anywhere from $9 to $18 for a full charge.
Well, that's less than a tank of gas.
Yeah.
But when you look at $19 in gas, you're probably going further, a little bit further with the gas. But I don't know. I just think that the whole thing with electric cars was that Biden or one of his puppet masters, thought that they would convince us to do that. The grid would take a major hit because now everybody in a 50 house neighborhood has an electric car, and they're all charging them at the same time. Yeah. And they're all, at prime time at night when everybody's on the internet watching TV and everything else, and the grid's just not going to be able to handle it. And plus also the components seem to be all coming from China, or 90% of them come from China, and I'm sure somehow in the components that operate that car, China has some kind of kill switch where they can just look, Randy Rhodes, serial number, blah 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 blah. We don't like what he said about the Chinese government owning farmland on Dave Glovin's show, so they're going to
shut off my car.
They're going to turn off your car.
Or I'm 2 days late making that car payment.
Yeah. Also, it's interesting that I've read on both lamestream and mainstream media that evidently Elon Musk is not the wealthiest man in the world anymore because of serious stock value declines at Tesla. And that now the reigning champion is Mark Elliott Zuckerberg, who owns Meta. His net worth is estimated to be about $187 billion, putting him above Elon Musk and above Jeff Bezos. So but that game changes all the time. Musk will report record profits tomorrow, and the fact that he's now building homes on Mars and operating a fleet of space Airbnbs, and it will change. I am glad to see, though, speaking of Elon Musk, that he did decide to drop the X and go back to Twitter. I understand and agree that there was a lot of negative stuff with the name Twitter, but he should have kept it. He should have kept it Twitter.
Well, I thought he changed it because some kind of legal thing going on, and by changing the name of the company, got him out of that legal problem.
I don't know if that was the case or if it was me just thinking that, it wasn't Twitter anymore, and maybe by changing it to X, that would make people think about it differently. Kind of how Facebook thought when the corporate became Meta, and Facebook and all the different brands under it. But, everybody knew that it was Meta. I mean, that Meta is still Facebook. It's still Mark Zuckerberg, but, nothing really changed in that name in that way other than, it's a cool sounding name. But I don't really know. It is 11 o'clock. I'm not pushing you off either. I'm just asking you whether or not we can continue. And if you can't, then we've done our hour. You've met your obligation for today. And your check will be in the mail. My check's in the mail. Hey, I can talk for another 30 minutes or so. Okay, we do have to pull the plug at 11:30 because I have a lunch commitment that I do not want to miss.
So yesterday was my wife's 43rd wedding anniversary. So that's 43 years of her putting up with me. I don't know how she did it, because I know sometimes I can be a bugger. We've got 2 kids, though one child doesn't have much to do with us anymore, but that's fine. But our daughter,
that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you at least stay in somewhat contact, even though you're not every day, but do they at least contact you periodically, or if you write email, do they at least reply?
Well, they live 5 miles from us. Okay. Yeah. If they won't call on a telephone. Okay, so they won't pick up a phone, make a phone call, and talk on the phone. If you text them, and that's the only way they communicate nowadays, if you text them, you may get a response back in about an hour to 2 hours, which makes absolutely no sense because I know for a fact that they have those phones attached to their hips, right? And so when they finally respond out back to us, we hey, hi guys, how you doing? Oh, we're doing great, right? And if I respond right away to that, yeah, we're doing great, it's another hour before I get a response back to my response. It's like, dude, you just texted me, right? So it is what it is. So we didn't raise them that way, but that's what they turned into. And what are you going to do? Back in the day, when I was a teenager growing up, every room in our house had a telephone, the old-fashioned rotary dial telephone, and if the phone rang, it was a mad dash to be the first person to answer the phone. Nowadays it's like, oh my God, the phone's ringing. Who's that? Must be Big Bill Collector. Don't answer it.
You put a rotary dial phone in front of your grandchildren, depending on how old they are, like ours, so that we live with.
They won't know how to use it.
Well, Tony would be able to figure it out. He's kind of smart, but you put it down in front of some kids, they wouldn't know what to do with it.
That's one else. I love that, but sometimes I wonder if those videos are actually real or if they're made up.
I'm sure they're made up to poke fun at it, but but you're right about the phone being on your hip. Mine is either on my desk or on my nightstand, or it is on my waist when we leave, only because I've got older family that I want to be in contact with, and my sister and my brother in Massachusetts and the two sisters in California, and the only way we're all accessible to each other is by our phones.
Yeah. The idea I got this.
I talk bad about them on broadcast because they don't watch Boogie with the Bull.
Yeah.
So
the other day I got this text on my phone saying that the battery in my one device was low. Right, not a cell phone, but like a what's the other lady's name other than the electronics name that you talk to?
Siri.
Okay, yes, Siri. No,
that's the one. That's the one from Apple.
Okay,
that's the lady from Apple that lives in your phone.
And the other one.
I don't know, but I know Siri's the one who lives in your Apple phone.
So I got this text saying that the battery is low in this particular device, and I don't have it. All right. So I reached out to my son and said, is one of your electronic devices low on the battery? So how did you know? I said, I just got a text on my phone from your lady that's inside that that device. That your battery is low. He said, well, it's scary. To think that these things are that damn smart. I'll get fun with them, like. I'll say, hey, Siri, what's so-and-so is all right? And Siri answers, like right now she's answering me, right? She'll say, how can I help you? And I'll ask a question. And then thank you. And she'll respond back, you're welcome. And I said, well, have a nice day. Well, you too. It's like, oh my God.
There was that episode of The Big Bang Theory years ago where the character Raj was in love with Siri and thought he was in a relationship with Siri, and I guess.
Sorry, I can't recognize music right now. Please try again in a bit.
Oh my God, they're listening.
Actually, it's interesting because the next time we play any kind or sing any kind or say any kind of line from a song, we should ask Siri if that's a copyright violation that we're doing.
Oh my God, that's so damn scary,
Yeah.
but it's the world we live in.
It is.
The TVs
And
are now you got your TVs, your refrigerators, your microwaves, all your appliances are all smart,
yeah,
smart.
and they will all link to your cell phone unless you tell them not to.
Yeah,
Our washer, yeah, our washer and dryer, our refrigerator are all smart appliances, and they would link to your phone. And if they were linked to my phone, I would go crazy.
I
I
mean,
don't.
and they're just
I,
this goes back a few years. But there's a refrigerator that has sensors inside of it. So if you go to a grocery store, right, and you're trying to think, what do I need to buy? You can access the damn refrigerator, and it will tell you what you need to replenish.
yeah,
And it's like, oh my, I'm sorry, that's just this way too
and they
smart.
tested. I think it was somewhere in New York. I think it was actually an Amazon brick and mortar grocery store where you took a cart, picked up an item off the shelf, put it in the cart. It
Yeah,
automatically scanned it and told you
yeah,
how much.
yeah.
And it kept it tracked. So when you got to the door to ring out, it
You
was all
just
done.
paid. Yeah, you just
Well, you
paid.
didn't even, when you were done, you just told it that you were done and it totaled it out and you walked out the store. I mean, walked out the door. If you didn't do that and you just pushed the cart out the door, things would go off because alarms would go off because it didn't ring up. But I mean, I just think our government is pushing us into worse than that. It'll just be you'll order your food online and you'll order your food online and it may not necessarily be what gets delivered to you, but it'll get delivered to you.
Yeah.
And you won't pay for it because it'll already be credited or taken off your CBDC card. Uh, God, I hope that doesn't happen. That's another thing that I know Trump will stand up and say, no, that's not happening.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm sorry. I know I was watching William, and I love the guy to death, and he's so excited about Trump, and I know William does not like hearing me talk the way I do when it comes to
well,
Trump, but
it's a different view, so he has to
I
he
just
has to hear it.
I just look at it, and I just know that the Democrats have so much to lose if he gets into the White House, and so many people would legitimately be going to prison, and they can't allow that to happen. And they're going to do whatever they can do to stop it. So, I mean, like you're just saying earlier that
Hillary's going to be one busy lady.
yeah, well, it was like it's like I think it was Bill Muckler saying about how he's going to be in court for the next 2 or 3 months, going up
Yeah.
against
Well,
criminal
they
charges.
say that, but I would imagine that once it gets into court, his attorney is going to basically look at the judge and go, you know what? Most of this stuff he doesn't have to be here for, and he may want to be here, but honestly, most of this stuff he doesn't need to be here. It's very clear that this is campaign interference,
Yeah,
election interference. And if you want to insist that he has to be here every single day of this trial, I will go above your head to a superior judge and file election interference against
yeah.
you,
I
the
mean,
district
look at
attorney.
Hunter. Hunter's supposed to be going to the Congress to answer questions, and he
He
refuses to
got
go
up and
to.
walked out.
Right,
The
and
last
under any other condition, that person would be in jail.
Right. The last thing I read on Hunter was that a judge made a decision, and I don't know if he or she was a Democrat or Republican judge, but made a decision that on the IRS tax stuff, he does in fact have to put his body in court and be there during that case. And if he decides that he's going to walk away or he's not going to show up, arrest him and hold him in jail until he pays the fines.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't know. It's just
it,
it's freaking amazing how they can, the Democrats can thumb their noses at the law
yeah.
and get away with it. and the Republicans, like Trump, can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just disgusting. It makes me sick about my country.
And the scary thing, Scott Lobredo. Yeah, Scott Lobeo. Or Lobedo. I forget how you say his name.
Yeah, the guy from New York.
Yeah, and he's on X, and he usually posts every day, and I watch him when I see him, and I retweet him when I see him. The other day, it was an F-bomb special only because he was.
Oh my God, he loves the one, doesn't he?
But he was really, really, really pissed off. And just looking into his camera and saying, Democrats, you don't understand, and saying, Republicans, you don't understand. And he kept saying, if for any reason Trump is not elected president, there's about 150 million Americans that are all ready to take us into a civil war. He said he didn't know how bad it was going to be.
Yeah.
Some talk and just say we're going to take over the government, and do it as peacefully as we can. Some say it's just going to be an all-out war.
Yeah, yeah.
William Rayfield, I think, says he's going to stay inside his house. I'm probably going to stay inside my house. But, you can stay inside your house, but if the wrong side is walking down your street, you don't answer the door, they're going to invite themselves in.
Yeah.
They're going to invite themselves in, take you away, move squatters in, and when you get out, you won't own your house anymore. I mean, this is just scary.
That's the other thing that pissed me off. These damn squatters, and how the Democrat law is allowing them to take your house. We have a neighbor across the street. They finally moved into one home, but they actually owned like 4 homes for different reasons, right? And they were concerned for a while about the whole squatter thing. So they finally got down to one house, and but the American dream, I guess, in one sense, is to have a home that's your base, and then to have a home that you can go to in the winter for the winter sports and the stuff like that, and a home to go into the summer for the sporting things. But nowadays, to own a home like that, you're taking your chances of a squatter coming into your house.
Yep. We moved away from the snow 2 years ago, a little more than 2 years ago, and I actually have no desire to be back anywhere where I have to go out and shovel snow. Fortunately, we were lucky. We had a landlord who kept a small tractor in the backyard in the small barn that he had built. So he'd come over and he'd use that to clean off the driveway. It was a duplex, and then to shovel off the front walks for both of the duplexes, but both of the apartments. But
yeah,
I keep talking to Florida people. We'll be out, and they'll be dressed in down jackets, and it'll be 60 degrees out. And they tell me that they came from the Northeast, but eventually their blood thinned, and now when it's 60 degrees out, they're cold because where they were, it was cold. But Connecticut at 60 degrees was not cold. Florida at 60 degrees really isn't cold. A 40-degree night here in Florida, yeah, it's cold. You won't see me in shorts, and you might see me with a jacket on. But 40 degrees in Connecticut was cold, and you wouldn't see me in shorts, and you would most likely see me with a jacket on.
Because you're used to the weather. But now they're down in Florida for 2 years. You're used to the weather in Florida, so now you can't stand the cold.
Well, 80 degrees isn't cold. 60 degrees isn't cold. 40 degrees can be cold. 65 degrees under air conditioning can be cold because our bedroom blows beautiful, nice, cold air when the AC is on, and sometimes I have to put a long sleeve shirt on at night. But
Yeah, we looked out. I can't shovel snow anymore because of the way my back, my knees are, and we got snow I think 3 times, and uh, within a few hours of the sun coming out, it melted.
Yep.
Uh, so
We
my daughter says, "That's global warming, Dad. That's what we're just going on." I said, "No." I said, "We're just we just had
in,
luck this year."
in Massachusetts, our landlord, who owned plenty of properties, would come and do it. But our house was the last one that he would come and do. And a lot of times before he got there, my boss, who also snow plowed as one of his businesses, would come by and do it. And it got to a point where our landlord stopped doing it because every time he came over to do it, my friend Mark had already come by and done it twice. But I don't know. So, what did you do for your anniversary? Did you take your wife out to a nice dinner?
No, we again we're disabled. We don't drive.
Yep.
We ordered food in, so she had a choice what she wanted. And, thankfully I didn't marry a rich wife, rich woman who needed all the frills. So she ordered the food she wanted, and I was happy with that. I think the biggest treat I got was a chocolate cream pie. Yeah, that's what I got.
No,
Uh,
one of these nights, and I know Donna won't do it, but one of these nights I've always said, as long as I've been doing this, we got to get either the husbands or the wives to join us. Like we have Jen on and have Jesse on, have me and Donna on, have you and Claudette on, have William and his wife, or whatever, because I just think that will be a funny broadcast when all the wives or husbands come clean with what they see in the lives of the person who does. Who does.
You take my husband away for 2 hours every night. That's our time.
Well,
I hate you, Dave.
well, and I would probably hear that from a lot. On my side, when we were in Connecticut, I started doing them at 10 o'clock in the morning because it was mid-morning and Donna worked from usually left at about 7:30 and came home around 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It kind of depended. So I'd be done by the time she got home. And then I think sometimes I would do one at night, but not as often. And then here it's when the opportunity presents itself and I'm by myself, then that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I got to start working on my show for Sunday. I haven't had sat down really. I got a couple ideas that people have given me. So, and the sad thing is that they're all turning into like a military, combat kind of thing. And I'm trying to get it to be more variations of it. But the people who are actually responding are saying, "Hey, no, we want you to do this." I said, "Okay, I'll do that."
Saturdays at 10 a.m., what I always call a rare Saturday morning boogie with the bull, are going to start happening more often. They're not going to be rare. At least 3 of them a month aren't going to be rare. And what people are saying is don't just do politics, do everything. So I think we're going to take the format that we stole originally with the Tuesday and Thursday night broadcast and just put a panel together and start on one idea and see where we end up. See where we end up at the end.
There's another broadcaster named not be mentioned, and the format that this person has taken by themselves is to simply have the one screen turned on to the news and take in an article talking about it, which is fine, especially when you're by yourself, kind of yakking.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm by myself on my shows. I'm trying to find someone who will come on with me to talk about the South. But I never get any, real takers. But I'm hoping, Ichabod, he's supposed to be getting some really neat videos going for me, so I'm hoping that starts showing up soon about his marijuana, his mushrooms, his deadlines, and hunting, trapping, cooking, as well as the cemetery things. I'm waiting for those videos to start popping up.
Yeah. I always tell people, to the ones who say, all you do is politics, I always tell them, well, come on, and we won't do politics on the day that you're on, or the night that you want to come on, or, but yeah.
See,
and we eventually, we don't have a huge, none of the 5 broadcasts we do had followings before we started doing them. They've all attracted followings, and they stay pretty loyal. And that's what will happen with Saturday if I start doing it tomorrow. We just, people watch when they can. And my biggest thing I tell them is, if you can't watch when we're live, don't.
Yeah.
Watch it when you can. And some people do, and some people even will comment in the live chat as they're watching it. And then I go back and I read the comments, and, it is what it is.
Yeah, I can never understand the format of 2 or 3 or more people just being in different states, using streaming media, and just bullshit, just talking,
Well,
that's like a party line on a telephone. Just listen to a conversation.
Well, it was because how you view something in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania is different than how I see it here in Florida, or how Will sees it in Tennessee, or how Michael might see it in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My whole idea was never to come on and do a broadcast where I just sit here for an hour and a half and spout what I want to spout about. It was more about getting other people to tune in and watch. But whatever, we do have to end
in fine.
Like 30 seconds. I didn't realize that it is where we are.
Oh, that's not fine. It was a great show. I mean,
it was.
The format that your show is growing and expanding into the different categories that we talk about. It's like you're saying before, it was all about politics, and that's why I stopped coming on. I didn't really always want to talk about politics, because politics raises my blood pressure and depresses me. It's just the way it is. So
you gotta go, I gotta go, and people who are watching probably gotta go. Or already did go. All right, you ready?
Yeah, well, hey, hold on. This Sunday, on the road to Dixie, probably gonna be doing a show about the Angel Farm. It's the farm that was the headquarters for, I think it's General Johnson during the Gettysburg War. A guy's going to give me some video, so I got to reach out to him real quick and get some videos that the guy is going to help me with the show. So what's going to happen? Sunday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time.
All right. You ready now?
Yeah.
All right. Randy Rhodes, the genealogist on Facebook, as well as a person with several broadcasts on Southern stuff that you might want to watch and listen to and learn and enjoy on Sunday night, 7 o'clock and 7 o'clock Eastern. So that will wrap up this edition of Boogie with the Bull, the Friday morning caffeine edition. Red Friday. Remember, everyone deployed. Please think about that throughout the day. Share the broadcast on Facebook and off of Facebook. If you share it off of Facebook, do me a favor and go to the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel and share it from there off of Facebook. But please share it on Facebook, share it off of YouTube, share it everywhere you can, and help us grow. Want to thank Susanna Cardo for tuning in and watching, Pat O'Griff for watching, Bonnie Johnson for watching, William Grant today has watched more Boogie with the Bull broadcast than any. No, Danny Campbell popped in. So William Grant and Danny Campbell are tied for who has watched the most Boogie with the Bull broadcast today. Michael Anthony popped into the live chat. Thank you, Michael. Kellen McMillan, you are always welcome. Scott Halsey watched. And Jerry Gaines watched. And that's about it. If I missed your name, I either didn't see that you were watching or you weren't in the live chat. If it shows on my screen that you are watching, I will acknowledge that you are watching. I will say good morning, good evening, good night, or whatever. And at the end, try to at least ramble off that you were watching. If you're in the live chat, you have a good chance of having your comments flashed on the screen, which is always more fun than just sitting there and watching. So you have been watching Boogie with the Bull, the Friday Morning Caffeine edition, a copyrighted presentation of the No Budget Broadcasting Company. We own it all. Want to be on a Boogie with the Bull broadcast there Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, and Tuesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Generally run about an hour, hour and a half each time. If you want to be on the 7 p.m.s, let me know by 6 p.m. in the evening. If you want to be on the 10 a.m.s, let me know by 9 a.m. in the morning. That's Eastern time. And I will send you a link. Or come into the live chat and ask if you can get a link. On Tuesday, the 16th, we have Bonnie Johnson and Suzanne Accardo, and we will be talking about child and adult trafficking and rescue missions and people that are no longer being trafficked, and helping to bring that to an end. And let's see, Jen Woodruff, the homeschool mom, will be leading that interview Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Thursday night will be open discussions unless a topic comes up to bring in. The following Tuesday, the 23rd, at 7 p.m., Jen will lead another conversation through the trafficking realm with, I believe, Dr. Marilyn Peterson, who operates a group in Georgia, Fresh Start Programs, that helps people get a fresh start. She'll be with us, I believe, her son, Dr. Craig Peterson, the child psychologist that I joke with when he is watching. I believe Craig will be on, and a lot of information that we hope you will listen to and understand and process and learn from. So please watch those two Tuesday night broadcasts, and then you never know when something else will pop up that's serious. But I like to have fun, and everybody else likes to have fun. So we kind of try to keep it lighthearted through here. Had enough Boogie with the blowouts over the years where I got mad at someone or someone got mad at everybody else, and we all yelled and screamed at each other, and then we just ended the broadcast and went on. No, it's more fun to just come here and do this. I enjoy doing it. The people I invite enjoy doing it. The people that watch enjoy doing it. The numbers are growing. Like I said last night, for Thursday Night Live, we had 79 people watching. When I checked it at 8 o'clock this morning, it was up to 149 people, I believe. So, that one will do pretty good. We don't track them because we're trying to make money off of this thing one day and become rich and famous. We just prefer to remain the No Budget Broadcasting Company and do it for whatever. Anyway, it's time to go. I got breakfast, or now it's lunch by the time we get there. So, goodbye.